Hello there, Danny Smith here. I had a few guys ask me to do some more videos, so I figured I'd do a few things here of what I'm doing. First off, I wanted to start off by letting you know, if you hadn't already seen, we started a new podcast. John Jennings started a new podcast, and I'm helping him with it a little bit. It's called the Voice RC Podcast. It's going pretty good, so you should check it out. You can find it on, he broadcasts on Simplecast. But you can find it on iTunes. I usually watch it on Stitcher. So check it out. I've had a couple of good guests. Already had Ryan Lutz and JQ has been probably the biggest two guests on there besides me, of course. So anyway, check it out. And just to let you know, there probably won't be a podcast this week. John has had a family emergency and has had to fly back to North Carolina and take care of some family business. So if you would, keep him in your thoughts and prayers, and we'll be back as soon as we can with that. Anyway, what I'm going to do here, my nitro buggy is a hot mess. I ran it on the new layout. It's very muddy, and it was already due for a tear down, so I'm going to start tearing the car down and show you how I do it. I'm probably going to do it in parts because I'm doing this in the morning before I go to work. I just got here. It's like 5:30 in the morning, and went and watered the track, and I've only got about 10 or 15 minutes. So I'm going to start this. This will be part one of the teardown. I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm not going to do anything spectacular, but anyway, I usually start off by pulling the radio tray out, and I'll line the servo horns up where they're straight, and put that way they can go back, and you don't really have to adjust the radio. You check it when you put your radio back together, but you can just put her horn back in the same position. And I'll pull the horns off and put the screw back in there just so I don't lose it. I'll take the throttle linkage off with my pliers. Just pop it off there. Pull this servo screw out. I use the HB steering servo horn, aluminum horn. Fits better than anything I've seen. And for the throttle, I use, I don't know if you can see it or not, I use the M2C throttle horn. SRT servos have been incredible. Best servos I've ever used, and the price is awesome. So I'm using let me go ahead and pull this servo tray out real quick. I've already taken my wing loose. You can see kind of how muddy it is. Now, I when I got through running it the other day in the mud, it was a pound heavier worth of mud. So I cleaned it with the Simple Green foam, and you can see it got it pretty good. There's a little mud back here, but it wouldn't come off. Probably another shot of it would clean it off. But the only problem I see with that is it gets still a little damp in there, and the hinge pins and everything got real squeaky. And just don't feel right. So I'm gonna break it down, and I'm going to rebuild the diffs and the shocks, and clean up all the hinge pins and all the moving parts and everything. So, but on the servo trails, you'll say I use the RC Cavalieri brace, servo brace. It works really good. So set that one aside. Guess I'm going to pull out the engine next. I usually start with pulling the pipe off. Pull the springs out. Got my handy dandy spring removal tool from RB. Got this a while back from Novarossi Direct. Awesome tool. He kept trying to tell me to buy one. I wouldn't do it because I was buying some other things, and he finally said, "Here, just take it." And gave it to me. And man, it's been one of the best tools I've ever gotten. So I would, if you can find them, RB's not in business anymore, but if you can find them, I would definitely recommend it. So I'll pull the fuel line off and plug it in the pressure port on the tank. Get my little, just like an antenna tube cap, cover up the fuel line on the engine. You have to take the, loosen the screw on the front of the pipe. Pull the pipe off. Be careful with the exhaust gasket. You can tear it if you. And I always use, as far as when you put this back on, I use I got a little tube of Marvel Mystery Oil. Put a little Marvel Mystery Oil in here, a little Marvel Mystery Oil on the gasket, and it'll slide right on there, and those things last a long time if you keep doing that. Just don't do it dry. And then I put my cap. Oh, where's my cap? Gotta get a cap for the exhaust port. Very important that you cap these off ASAP. Don't let any foreign materials get in the engine. I just got this Novarossi Bonito back on here. You know what? I'm gonna take the gasket off because that's fitting too tight. And I've got another cap that goes over there without the gasket on it. And make sure your cap is clean. You don't want it to get anything in the engine. So, but yeah, my Novarossi Bonito, one of my favorite engines. Now, when I bought this thing, I don't know what in the world. It's the weirdest thing. It leaked fuel everywhere. I couldn't figure out what was going on. Fuel was going all over. It was running great, but fuel everywhere. I couldn't figure out what it was. I put a new bearing in it. That didn't fix it because it was all over the bearing, like it was leaking there, but it was also all over the carburetor. So put a new bearing in it. That didn't fix it. Finally, I sealed everything around the carburetor, every little joint with some silicone. I didn't know what was going on. So finally, I just put another carburetor on it, and problem solved. Right there where the, well, you can't see. On the aluminum piece right here where it seals the carburetor was just pouring fuel out for whatever reason on a brand new engine. So, no big deal. I got a ton of old engines with carburetors on them. Took those out. So on this HB car, you got the two-piece engine mount. I'll pull the 4 screws out so it just comes right out and stays in the same position. Now, on the HB car, the rear drive shaft is really close to this back screw, and it actually rubs it a little bit. Let me pull these out. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I gotta get a better camera set up so you can see what I'm doing a little better. I'm an amateur at this. Okay, so back here on this back, where is it? This back screw is really close to the drive shaft, and I've seen it rubbing. So I just put a button head screw in there. Just got to be careful. Don't over tighten it too much, Loctite, because you'll strip it out and have a hell of a time getting it out of there. If you're using, if you do this and you got the MIP tools, you never have a problem with it. You don't use this thing for months on end. You know, I would probably recommend changing it out every now and then, because it gets a little wear on it. Even with the MIPs, it'll strip out, and then you'll be cussing me because you broke it off and stripped it off in there. Anyway, I said the engine part, I'll clean it at some point. And let's see what's next. Gotta go ahead and pull the fuel tank out, and that'll probably be it for today. I'll have to go to work. I'll pull it out from the bottom, leave the mounts on there. Wow, that's the wrong screw. Yeah, you can see everything is hot mess now. You see a lot of fuel. I spilled a lot of fuel in it because I was teaching my wife, Lisa, my pit chick, how to fuel with a fuel gun. She's never used a fuel gun. She's scared of it. So we had good practice night the other night, and I showed her how to do it. So we used a fuel gun about 10 times or so, practicing, and you spill a little fuel each time, so I got fuel all over it. So, but anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll get back with part 2 next time I can get in here and do this, and show you how I finish tearing it down and put it back together. So this will take several parts, but we'll get it done. I got to get it done before Saturday. We're having our Toys for Tots warm-up race this Saturday, which is the 19th of October. Toys for Tots is our biggest race, December 14th. So if you're in the area, come at Warehouse Hobby Raceway in Helena, Alabama. Come check us out. We'll be having our warm-up race this Saturday. Hope we have a good turnout on the new layout. It's going to be a blast. And bring those nitro cars out. I know I'm going to have this one ready. And y'all better be ready, because I am. See ya. Don't forget to check out the podcast, the Voice RC Podcast. You're going to love it. John is the voice. He's got the most incredible radio voice that I've heard. He's one of the best announcer I've ever heard on the radio. So he's really good with the podcast. He's working really hard and spending a lot of time and effort in it. And he'll interview somebody, and then I usually come back, and I'm on the end of it with him for a race recap with it, and it'll be, mostly local races, and we'll talk about big races too, and everything that's going on in the industry, whatever we're talking about. And we cut up a little bit and have a good time. So hope you enjoy it. See you later.